Urban Philosophical Dilemmas, Presentation 4. In Chapter 2, many discussions take place around the idea of exploitation. Exploitation can refer to race or caste systems. One topic heavily discussed throughout the chapter is motivation irrationalities. This includes wishful thinking and self-deception. There is a tight cluster concept involving motivation irrationality: desire, evaluation, intention, and action. It is involved with cognitive dissonance, which is white ignorance. Self-deception has to do with thresholds of accepting or rejecting evidence. We decide to do things based on reflecting your value system. It is often said that women aren't valued the same. This is static, but also debated. One example of this would be the pay gap. Self-deception disrespects the self because it takes away agency, because it allows you to do it. So, this influences your self-concept. It motivates you to have irrational beliefs and commit irrational actions. Self-deception follows bullshitting because you try to rationalize. As noted in the chapter, Mele says self-deception is a motivated bias. One's identity likely motivates self-deception. Chapter 9 of the textbook refers to objectification. The chapter begins by saying how it is related to the feminist theory. The term objectification is often unhelpful or useless because of its lack of definition. Nussbaum discusses the difference between objectification and objectionable. Papadaki disagrees, says the definition is too wide or not wide enough. The worst types of objectification are those that take away autonomy and subjectivity. The body is valuable. Objectification often surrenders decision-making. Papadaki is often trying to stop or prevent a type of behavior. This is reducing a person to one variable by one-dimensionalizing them. Some forms of objectification have to do with age, which is ageism, or reducing someone in a relationship by using gender roles. Objectification is a hard problem to solve because the definition does not do much, or it does too much. Measurement of obscenity is difficult. We can't define it, but we can point it out. It is a matter of context. There are 4 types of potential objectification. Each of the types are defined by whether they are reductive or non-reductive, intentional or unintentional. Objectification is reductive when an objectified individual's humanity is in some way harmed. Chapter 10 discusses Vida Guerra and the aesthetic, most specifically the Black or the Latina aesthetic. Somatic aesthetics are brought up in this chapter as well. This is a way of understanding how we conceptualize looking at bodies. This chapter focuses mostly on American females of color. This chapter also refers to philosophy of action, which is intention and motivation. There's different aesthetics between Black and white American experiences. This reduces a person to race. You one-dimensionalize them and objectify them. Chapter 10 also confronts convention, how it is inherited narratives that we discuss, and their pre-planned forms of identity. Self-deception is also discussed in this chapter and its problems. Their formed self-concepts and scripts are convention. If you do not want to be objectified, reduced, or essentialized, you have to live an unconventional life. Not only is gender a social construction, but so is race. They overly determine characteristics to classify things. There is now a lack of authenticity because of change dynamic because people have pushed it. To discuss the comparisons between the chapters, Chapter 9 and 10 address issues about gender and patriarchy. Chapter 2 relates to the others because both racism and patriarchy involve the denial of humanity. All chapters refer to how some members of society are diminished while others are privileged. All of the chapters display the social constructions of certain members of society, for example, Blacks, women, Latinas. There's an unequal power relation between all, different races, genders, and ages.